I do influencer baby name predictions, and she has a daughter named Bluebelle. There's a small-scale British influencer named Jasmine who is expecting her second baby soon, and I am so into the vibe that I've made this mood board to share with all of you. Jasmine's social media aesthetic is English countryside cottages and gardens and armfuls of flowers and forest squirrels sitting round the campfire for crumpets. Everything comes across as really bright and prim and fresh, like a perpetual tea party, but there's also an undertone of more natural, earthy, second-hand, antique-y. And the thing is, if there was a group of ladies having a tea party in the English countryside and you told them that you were naming your baby Bluebelle, the tea would be spilled. That name would not be proper enough. They would shoo you away. You'd renounce proper society and befriend the forest fairies instead. The forest fairies knit the bluebell hat for Bluebelle, and the earth gently weeps. She's having a boy next, and I'd like to predict what that may be, but I read Jasmine's post about boy names. It won't be as unique as hers, as I personally prefer more traditional, classic, simple names for boys. No, we can't let proper society have him. He belongs amongst the forest fairies and the cottages and the crumpets. I'm gonna go full force on names that match with Bluebelle. Now, there is one snag for names of this aesthetic, which is that there is a limit on naturey names that work here because the last name is Rocks Wickham. First of all, cool. Second, a lot of the go-to nature names just became too much. River rocks, stone rocks, fox rocks. Luckily, I want to eliminate those most obvious options anyway because her name is Bluebelle. First, I think there are 3 names that the forest fairies themselves would choose. Grove, thematically perfect. Finch, love this because it's another nature name, but it's not another inanimate nature object like rock. A finch is a songbird. Oh, if it was a girl, can you imagine Bluebelle and Songbird? Can someone please make that in The Sims? Bluebelle and Finch rocks Wickham. I think those are very complementary, while this one is in fact more simple and inching towards traditional because Finch is close to the more familiar name of Finn. And I really think the forest fairies would also suggest the name of Poe. It just makes sense. They would. My thoughts come back to the mood board where we are teetering the line between that nature vibe and a tea party aesthetic. I'm gonna try looking for names slightly more rooted in cobblestone streets than the whispering trees of the forests. First, Gilbert. No reason. Second, Woodrow. Many reasons. Bluebelle was intentionally spelled with an E on the end, giving both Jasmine herself and her daughter flower names with a unique spin on the traditional spelling. That idea can easily be carried from sibling to sibling by adding an E on the end of Woodrow, a name that means a row of houses by the wood. Perfect. Bluebelle is a longer nature name with a shorter nature nickname. Bluebelle to Blue. Woodrow to Woods does the exact same thing, and the forest fairies would love it. Ultimately, when I'm looking at this, it's giving cobblestone, cottage, cabinet, Hutch. And I really want the name Hutch to happen. I'm serious. Little baby Hutch. But I do think it needs to be lengthened out in a surname as a first name sort of way to make it a tad more traditional. I'm not doing Hutcherson. You guys, we're not doing that. But there is Hutchinson, a small town in the farmlands of Minnesota that I drove past last week. You may have seen my film. I made a mental note of that because one of my other creative projects is depicting the names of Minnesota small towns as people, like who I imagine they would be with that name. And Hutchinson absolutely sounds like the name of a person who's a hardworking farmer. There's this kind of old-timey shirt that doesn't have a collar. A detour though, why was this town named Hutchinson? Answer, for the Hutchinson family singers, the most famous and influential family singing group of the American 1840s. There was a total of 13 children in this family, and a group of them toured the country performing music of their own creation, own lyrics about women's suffrage and abolitionist themes. Von Trapp's who? Yeah, they were like a very powerful and brave force for good and even traveled to England with Frederick Douglass. And one of the Hutchinson brothers married a woman named Frances, and her nickname was Patch. So how do I say this? I think if Taylor Swift's folklore album has fictional storytelling set in Ireland, I think Jasmine from England can bounce that energy back and give her baby the surprisingly non-fictional storytelling from this side of the pond by way of Hutchinson or Patch. Grove, Finch, Poe, Gilbert, Woodrow, Hutchinson, Patch, what should she choose?